All right, we are live, folks, on 10X Dental. Welcome, everyone. Another episode of Facebook Live. You know, it's my goal to invite guys on that are at the top of their profession. They're at the pinnacle of their career. These guys that I invite on are no rookies. They're heavyweights in our profession. They are thought leaders. These are the kind of people that a lot of the young guys you may not have heard of, but these guys are doing things and trudging through all of the old CE and have spent hours perfecting their craft. And tonight, you know, man, I have just such an amazing person. Man, I've watched this guy online. I've heard about this guy. You know, I come from a neuromuscular background. I have been all through LVI. And believe it or not, you know, I've also listened to Dawson and Pankey's stuff for years and years. And, you know, several years ago, I started hearing about this guy that kind of put it all together. And I didn't know much about this guy other than he was full of jokes, which I kind of like, you know. So, you know, this guy started teaching this stuff called DTR, and I'm like, what the hell is DTR? And, you know, it's kind of crazy, and I followed him, and he's teaching these courses here and there, and man, this guy keeps blowing up. And he took the two occlusion camps, CR and neuromuscular, and kind of melded this shit together and is getting these so successful results that don't back any patient into a corner. Because I've been in my career long enough where I've had patients that, man, neuromuscular works in this way, but I've had my failures in that. And CR doesn't work over here and had my failures. And it just happens. This is a guy that I have waited for so long to just interview, pick his brain, find out where this guy is lecturing, what he's doing. And, you know, I got to talk to him for a few minutes prior to us going live. And this guy is cool as hell on top of it. This is a guy that not only do I want to hear his lecture, but I want to hang out afterwards and have a couple of drinks and really have a good time with this guy. But Ben Sutter, man, you are it, man. And I am so excited to have you on tonight. Ben has a huge background, you know, such an enormous CV. Man, he's a fellow in LVI. He's a fellow in, I can't pronounce it. You know, ICMO. Gosh, I can't ever pronounce that. I don't know. It's my dang New Orleans Yat accent. I'm sorry. But anyway, dude is the shit, period. And, you know, I also, again, welcome my co-host, Miss Dee Dee Reid. You know, so many people, you know, have talked about, you know, who's Dee Dee? And I'm like, y'all really don't know. I mean, this girl was named to the top 25 women in dentistry in 2006. Right. Oh, my gosh. I mean, this girl has been
I'm not a dentist. How does that even happen?
She is not a dentist. She has been, dude, 27 years. I'm sorry. We were talking about our glasses, but you have been in dentistry for 27 whole damn years. Yeah. And you have learned the hard way, and you've been part of some of the most successful practices in the country. And it's such a pleasure to have you as a co-host, because you can give Ben a whole different, you know, line of questions and perspective that I can. Dude, I'm just this clinical wet finger dentist that, you know, I'm going to be asking Ben all these questions about, man, how can I be a better clinician? So for you, you know, I know you're going to bust him up and go, yeah, but how much is that going to cost me? And blah, 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 right?
Right. I'm going to ask him the hard questions.
And how are we going to be profitable doing this? And what's my return? And all those questions that, you know, any typical, you know, successful consultant is going to ask any dentist out there. So, you know, welcome. Thank you both for taking some time out to join this. It's a pleasure to have you on, Ben. Ben, my first question for you is simply, man, give me some background. What the shit is DTR?
Sure. So let me correct a little bit of something, because DTR is, I'm not the brainchild. That's Robert Kirstein.
All right.
And so DTR, while it's coming to a head and people are starting to really take notice, it's not being driven by the fact that Robert's been doing this for 30 years. It's not being driven by the fact that there's a great technology behind the therapy like TScan and bioresearch. It's not being driven by controlled studies and publications of 30 years. What it's being driven by is these patient videos where you have somebody come in and they have trigeminal neuralgia, or they have Meniere's disease, or this uncontrollable vertigo. And you tie that into some of the known symptoms of muscular and occlusal misalignment. And all of a sudden, these patients with these weird diagnoses start getting better. And you start to wonder, well, how is this all tied together? And, I don't want to get too deep into, different philosophies, but I've always been one to like, hey, show me the most controversial guy in the room. I want to go hear what he has to say. And I'm going to measure, because my background was in research before I went to dental school. And so having computers in the office, having different technologies is not a foreign concept to me. I was always expected. How many times did you run this experiment? How many times did you do that test? Can you repeat it? And that was beaten into me before I even got into dental school. So, when I would learn something, whether it be, neuromuscular from LVI or ICMO, or full mouth reconstruction in a CR course, always run your test to see, so you know what you even did. And then if you run your test before and after, you know what you accomplished. And there's none of this, oh, well, the case failed because you really didn't have them in CR. No, I measured everything, and it's repeatable. So the interesting thing is that patients are asking their doctors. I get calls from the Netherlands, from India, from all over the U.S. Where is the closest doctor to me who does what you do? Or my favorite one is when the dentist call me and they're like, what the hell is DTR and why have I not heard of it? And it's certainly been around long enough, but occlusion, it deals with occlusion. And I think typically, when I was in dental school, the funny thing is occlusion was, it was one credit. You took it at the beginning, at freshman year, and then you didn't think about occlusion for like 2 more years until you got in the clinics. And then it was just, make it fit what the patient had.
But Ben, you only graduated like 5 years ago, right?
Well, 4.5, but nobody's counting really.
So understood, man. Occlusion was one of those weak courses in dental school that, none of us spent too much time, really getting to the meat of it. But, once we get into practice and we start having failures and we're really starting to truly help people and do some complicated, comprehensive restorative dentistry, man, you better know that shit. And if you don't, you're really going to fail. So, in the quest of being, a great clinician, you understand how important occlusion is in your daily practice, whether it's the single tooth that, is causing all kinds of TMJ dysfunction because some dumbass left it high or left excursive movements or whatever. I mean, you start to realize that stuff. And in my own progression of practice, man, I did the neuromuscular stuff. I bought a TScan. I've used it in the past. And basically, you're utilizing, neuromuscular equipment and you're utilizing TScan equipment and all these different occlusal philosophies thrown into the mix, into one mix where, man, it makes it so much more predictable. Now, let me ask you a big question, okay?
Sure.
This is for a lot of these dentists And, I know I've already gotten like 5 private messages from young dentists, and they're coming in now. Man, I don't know what neuromuscular is. Do I need to go take neuromuscular courses? Do I need to go take CR courses? These guys are, 2, 4, 6 years out of school, and they've not taken a ton of CE. Where should they start?
Then that's
great question.
I get asked that question. Howard Ferran asked me that same question a year or 2 ago. And if I just took one course, what would I take? Let's back it up just a little bit. Let's change the question from what course should I take to what purchase should I make in my practice. And there are some things that I think we can all agree on, because I don't want to alienate anybody, but I think there are some core values to occlusion I think we can all agree on, no matter whether you're a Dawson guy, a Pankey guy, a neuromuscular guy. Look, we can all agree that the teeth, plus or minus, should hit at the same time. Is that a fair assumption?
That's a fair assumption, dude.
Okay. Can we agree that interferences are bad?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Especially on the football field.
Absolutely. We don't want to be flagged, for sure.
No.
Can we agree that no one tooth should be supporting its unfair share of the total bite force? And so, if we can agree on a couple of fundamental things, I really don't care whether you're doing CR or you're doing neuromuscular. Man, do what makes sense to you. Right. I like to measure. I like technology. I like to know where I'm at all times. So I've seen some really good neuromuscular stuff. I've seen some really bad CR stuff, and the inverse is true. I've seen good and bad in both. And it's not a failure of the paradigm. More often than not, it's a failure of technique. It's a failure of that dentist to measure or double check, because I think we have this misconception that just because I do a full mouth, I don't ever have to check that occlusion again. Yeah, check it in a year. Check it in 5 years.
Nice.
7 years.
Yep.
Dude, so awesome. That is such an important comment.
And for me, I would rather adjust something than to have it break and replace it. And you cannot.
So with the patient, right?
Sure.
Right.
Yeah. But the physiology is continuously adjusting and adapting to what's thrown at it. And you can't turn that off. So you better check it and see where it is.
Absolutely, dude. That's great, man. I love it. And so, basically you started, in all this, and now you're teaching DTR. And, what are the 2 main techs that you're using, to be able to do this? I've heard through the grapevine, just because I've been watching your crap for a little bit. I've been trying to follow. I'm trying to stay on top of my game too. That you are using some neuromuscular stuff, but you got to have a TScan along with it. Am I right?
You got to have a TScan, and I don't care if you don't. Even if you don't want to treat pain patients.
Yep.
If you're doing cosmetics, if you're doing ortho, if you're doing full mouth rehabs, long span bridges, if you're doing implants and you don't want your implants to fail because they're overloaded, you better be checking it. And occlusion, while it's not very sexy, man, it's interwoven into every single thing that we do. Unless you're a pathologist or a radiologist, you better know how those teeth are coming together.
Right. Agreed. Dude, I can't stand, the fact, it's like in today's world, man, everybody's using Bruxzir and zirconia, and it's, they're fail safe, whatever. But I continue to see, teeth that are hitting out of occlusion, inexcursive movements, blah, 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 and, are just getting pounded on. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, it's endo, or, oops, we're not doing endo now. It's time for an implant and a crown. And just because they missed something, and it's clinical error that's leading to tooth loss. And I don't like that shit.
Yeah, it's funny because I just recently, and I say recently within the last 18 months, started, the Bobby Supple, everybody gets a TScan when they walk in the door.
Yeah.
And imagine where these patients are, and you're like, oh, this crown has got some porcelain chipped. Let's just go ahead and we'll change this porcelain out for you, this crown. And wouldn't you like to know that the total occlusal load on that tooth is 32% of the total bite is on that one crown? That's the reason why it failed. And here, my favorite one is when you get the call from the lab and you cut a crown off and you're like, doctor, we don't have enough occlusal how do you not have enough? I just cut a crown off. Well, yeah, but you cut a crown off of something that was 37% of the total bite. That tooth was compressed. And once you cut the crown off, it starts erupting while that impression material is setting. Now you don't have enough room.
Oh, that's crazy. No, that doesn't ever happen to me.
Yeah, it doesn't happen to me either. I heard about some guy named Chris Hoffbauer having that problem.
Oh my God.
I love it, dude. Yeah.
So Dr. Sutter, are you saying that using a TScan on every patient is ideal in your office?
I'm saying I screen every single patient coming into my office. Whether I do anything with that information or not, that's a different conversation, between the patient and I. But at least the patient is given an opportunity. Again, we just had a conversation with this guy today, and the question he asked me was, man, I've been going to the same guy for 27 years, and he just retired, and you got some technology, and I liked my guy, but, he never used this on me. And I see some of the problems. We didn't have a way to communicate. And so the TScan technology is almost like the Rosetta Stone. It gives a way for the dentist to see what the patient is feeling.
Yep.
And you just don't get that with bite paper or shim stock. You just don't.
Right. It's like digital photography for patients to see what we see versus, and then it's the opposite of now you're seeing what they're feeling.
Absolutely.
But damn, Ben, man, you're messing me up, dude. Man, I'm a tightwad dentist, and you need
to buy a TScan, Greg. Just get over it.
No, man, that's an expense. Am I really, is it worth it in my practice? Is it going to really make a difference, dude? I mean, that's a huge purchase, man. I mean, I like my blue shim stock paper, I mean, damn, I've been practicing with it for years. That's what I used in dental school.
Right. Well, it must be right if you learned it in dental school. Look, here's the reality. It's interesting that digital x-rays and cone beams that go for $100,000 a pop, we don't have a problem justifying that. And not every single one of our patients are going to need a bone scan for an implant placement. Yet every single one of our patients, including the ones that don't have teeth, have got to bring something together. And TScan is a great technology at like 1/10 of the cost. Right. And so I don't know if you've got it and you're not using it. Yeah, I would expect you're not going to get an ROI. But DTR consistently for the last 3 years has put $100,000 per year into the practice. And that's just the DTR. That doesn't include any patients where, oh yeah, by the way, there's decay underneath this bridge, or these 3 fillings have got to be changed out. That's just the figure for DTR. So, I can't think of another technology that I can buy that has an overhead expense of $6.
Right.
You do an implant, you've got, $280 into a fixture. You've got another $120 in a custom abutment, if you're doing dentistry like I want to do and not have to grind down, stock abutments. But for some reason, $6 is too much.
Well, dude, here, I'll give you my real version. obviously, I've been joking with you,
I
but,
know.
obviously, if you want to be a dentist at the top of your game that's, practicing, clinically superior dentistry, to everyone else, you got the tech. Honestly, patients are impressed by tech. I don't know where, I don't care where you're practicing, Laguna Beach or, the hood in New Orleans where I'm at or wherever you're at. But I mean, dude, you come in, you pop a tech scan in. I mean, what a great technology to be able to utilize, and it makes you a great clinician. It's like you say, I mean, do you want to practice Neanderthal dentistry, or are you ready to up your game and 10x your shit like this wonderful group and be practicing at the top of your game? You got to have certain tools to do it. Now, my issue is, yeah, I agree. I want the tech scan and I want to have, some neuromuscular stuff in my practice when I'm doing full mouth restorations and comprehensive dentistry. That's not the problem I'm having. The problem I'm having is, dude, I buy this great technology. Dude, even digital x-rays in my office. Half the time I'm asking my damn staff, how do I work this shit?
You shouldn't, but Gregg, you shouldn't have to do it. As a treatment coordinator, I took TScans on every single patient who walked through the door. I talked through all of what's on the tech scan, and then I would bring the doctor in and there would be conversation. But it's an educational tool in the beginning, and then it's a finishing tool at the end of treatment. And it makes the doctor know, like, have you ever had a time where you did a crown and then a patient came back and said, it still hurt, it's still high, it's still high, it's still high. And then you were like, it looks fine on the paper, on checking it with paper, but there's something else that's not there. When we use the tech scan, those are things that are found, and then you look like the miracle worker. So, but if you checked it before they left, you might not ever have that post-op appointment, right?
All right, Miss Dee Dee, that's why I have you as this wonderful co-host, because you put shit into perspective. And agreed. This is something that one of your team members, you can delegate, to run a T-scan and get this info, and you can come in and read it and be the doctor and understand where you're at and where you're coming from. Now, even a step further is, the clinical stuff that I know Ben is out there teaching. And dude, between me and you ain't teaching enough. You're not.
Get busy. Get busy, Dr. Sutter.
I'm lecturing at least once a month, and last month I was in 2 different places. So my first job is to the practice. Yeah. So there's plenty of opportunities there's a course coming up in BioResearch is having their annual convention. Doc Hoffpower is doing his thing, and with Colin Lathrop and I, and digital workflow and digital design with digital occlusion. And that's in Houston in August. And then New Jersey is going to have a DTR course, and then Vegas is going to have a DTR course, all before the end of the year. And that's not all my lectures, but there's plenty of opportunity to hear this stuff. I think one of the things that you just touched on is, man, I don't want to get this thing out and add another thing to my workflow. And Dee Dee's right. You shouldn't have to. So all my new patients come in through hygiene. Right. I taught my hygienist how to do my intake scans. I review them. I look at them. If there's something unquestionable, I'll take it again myself. But all treatment scans are done by me. But I certainly don't do that as part of my intake. I have 2 handles in my office. One is always with me at all times, going from op to op if I need it. And then the other one stays in hygiene.
That's awesome. Because, when you first said handle, I was thinking Tito's vodka, but,
Tech scan handle.
TScan handle.
I know, we're all good. But anyway, my point is there's so much technology that exists that we didn't have, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was getting into this profession. And man, it has just progressed so much. And, a lot of the inner workings of occlusion and how to practice and how to be successful are right there in front of your face. But learning that stuff and being comfortable incorporating it into your practice and being profitable, Dee Dee,
right?
Utilizing your team, to handle this technology so that you can practice a high level of comprehensive dentistry, which, by the way, increases your profit 10x all across the board, if you know how to use this stuff. So, yeah, man, I can't wait to take DTR. By the way, Ben, I am coming to your course. I have to admit, I'll be in Houston with Doc Hoff-Pair and
nice.
Probably a whole crap load of his business and dentistry folks and stuff like that. And I'm probably going to bring some Louisiana spices with me just to kick it up a notch. But we're going to have a good time, and I can't wait to learn this stuff. But you have been out there teaching this stuff not for a year, but for several years, and you have really are at the pinnacle of your clinical professional career with what you've put together, and you've got a great recipe, bam, Emerald style, that you put it all together and you can teach this stuff. And I don't understand at all why dentists shouldn't be flocking to hear what you have to say, dude. And I mean, where are you going to be? What are you going to be doing? And from Dee Dee's point, Dee Dee, I want you to let people, you've used some of this stuff too in your practice.
I would not be in a practice that didn't have a TScan.
And nor would I.
Period.
So,
yeah.
So Dee Dee, I'm going to bring up a point that I got some messages on the 10X group this morning. Several of the messages that I've been getting lately have to do with what technology should I have in my practice. I've been out a year, 2 years, 3 years. What should I invest in? But the biggest question I got this morning from a really good friend of mine who's a big 10X guy and loves it and is passionate about dentistry is, how do I attract the top team people to come work for me? How do I get them? And your statement was, I would not work. And Dee Dee's one of the top. I mean, you have worked in the most successful practices in the country. You have been a consultant for some of the most successful practices. And you just made a statement that said, I'm not going to work for no practice unless they got a TScan.
Well, I tell you, before I moved to California, that was the deal that I made with Dr. Parker. I said, if you don't have a TScan in the office, that I can't do my job. And my job was to, talk with patients and have them see possibilities that they didn't even know that they were coming in to see. Just like when I use digital photography, those are the two things that it would be like tying my hands behind my back if I couldn't do digital photography and couldn't do TScan, because those are the two things that have patients see more comprehensively, that it's not a one tooth problem, because you're seeing the arch form, you're seeing how it all works together with the TScan. It's not just an intraoral photo. It's not just a single x-ray, which patients don't know what that means anyway, but you're seeing the full arch. When you're talking the full arch, patients think more comprehensively, and then you're able to actually deliver life-changing dentistry for patients who may or may not have known that they had a debilitated mouth. I mean, I would see patients come in that had 8 crowns, 4 root canals, all on posterior teeth, and they wonder why. And that was the first question I asked. I'm like, why have you had all this dentistry? What has been the story? Well, I broke a tooth here and this one cracked and then this filling came apart. And it's like, okay, has anyone ever talked about what is the root cause? And they were like, well, no, it broke whenever I was eating or whatever. So they didn't ever get the correlation. Digital photography and TScan are the easiest tools to talk to patients in a comprehensive way.
That's awesome. So Ben, I hear, I'm with Dee Dee. Man, you need a TScan. But to me, you need to bring it all together. Yep. You need to understand, occlusion in a whole system and stuff like that. You're teaching this stuff. I'm excited to learn about it. What can I expect if I go spend some bucks and some time and take a course with you? Man, how is that going to change my practice? How am I going to be changed as a clinician?
So let's back up a little bit, and I want to address something that Dee Dee said. It's great to have a digital camera, and those are pretty self-explanatory. In other words, you can read the manual and you do pretty okay. That's not TScan. That's not TScan at all. And just I'll share my story. I got my first TScan, I think, in 2009, and I had it in my office for 5 years, and I was using it to what I thought was a pretty good level. And then I ran into Robert Kirstein, and we were talking about something else, either a paper he wrote, or I think he was proof editing one of the papers that I was writing at the time. And I'm like, dude, I need to learn how to use TScan. I want to learn DTR. I learned more on the first patient with him in the office than I did in the first 5 years of owning TScan on my own. So I want to make one thing abundantly clear. Just because you buy a TScan,
right,
doesn't make you does not impart some power, any more than buying a hammer makes you a home builder. Okay, you have to know how to use this technology. So you got to take a course to just get familiar, and most of these courses are one-day courses. All right, and that would be the Houston course. All right, so to answer your second question, what is this going to do for me in my practice? I share when I teach perio cases, ortho cases, implant cases, denture cases, full mouth cases, cosmetics, dude, you name it. We talk endo cases. And so, occlusion touches all of those things. And so if you can prevent it, it's always a great thing. And if you told a patient, which happened last month, it's kind of funny. This guy comes in, he's complaining of, I broke a tooth. I know what you're going to tell me. I need a crown. Let's just book it. Let's do it. I'm going to come in and do it. And so I'm like, hey, let's, do we have a TScan on him? And in 2015, 27% of his total bite force was on that tooth.
Wow.
So now all of a sudden you've got a record of where he was. Like, I don't care what happened,
right.
And this explains that phenomenon. Like, oh, doc, I was just eating a piece of cheese and half my tooth came out. Well, yeah, it's because we're neglecting the part about the last 7 years you've had most of your bite force on the same tooth. So, that's kind of the big picture thing. But as far as taking one of the courses, you're going to see how TScan touches so much of general dentistry. And I share my failures. That's where we all learn, not when we do, 10 veneers and that patient takes a great, photo for us and it looks great. Yeah. What happens on the case where the guy down the street's done 6 veneers and the same veneers fallen off 7 times and they're coming to you for help? Really? You want to touch that case and rely on the bite paper, which is about 12 to 13% accuracy? Good luck.
Right.
Yeah, I would touch that case, but only with a TechScan.
Only with a TechScan would I touch that case.
Yeah.
Right.
That's fair.
That's awesome. But I mean, to me, it's exciting because, it's, man, like you say, we went to dental school and we got our 1 hour, in occlusion. And it's like you get out and you realize, wow, I don't want to have these failures at all. But if I'm not going to have failures, I better get my butt in gear and learn some of this stuff that dental school doesn't have the time to teach. No. And there's a bunch of different courses around, man. I can go to LVI, I can go to Pankey, I can go to Coyce, I can go to Spear, I can go to all this stuff. But to me, the draw to you is you've been in all these different occlusal directions with all these different occlusal camps, and you kind of put it all together. And not only that, dude, you're like this lovable, humble guy that is like, man, I've screwed all this shit up. Because you can go to, like, I've been in enough CE where you can go and they're posting their pretty pictures and their great, wonderful cases. But it's like, dude, show me your failures. Because if you hadn't had any failures, you ain't been in practice or you're not being honest.
That's right. You're lying.
You're lying.
So, Dr. Sutter, what's the biggest learning curve in getting a TechScan or doing DTR? Like, what are the obstacles? What are the hard parts that you show that you can overcome?
So, one of the interesting things I think, whenever we do a live patient course, Robert is usually in the lecture hall, and I wear a loop cam that's showing you everything intraorally as I do it, and he's explaining it. And patients will say, well, how come he's leaving that? He's not taking that. Look how dark it is. And Robert will have me stop, and he'll say, like, look, let's check it with a TechScan. Don't touch that mark. And then we look at it with the TechScan, and yeah, it's a false positive. So, probably one of the biggest hurdles for people is to unlearn what you've learned as far as what those ink spots mean. Because all they mean is 2 teeth touched or they didn't.
Nice.
And you've got to figure that out without it. So for me, once I got it, I think the force component of it is pretty easy because it does the calculations for you. But the timing component of TScan trumps bite force like 98% of the time. Well, what is timing? That's the order the teeth come in together or the amount of time the teeth stay touching. Yep. So it's 2 things, actually. And if you don't have a handle on that, you're only using the TScan to a fraction of the information that it will give you.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, it's every time I've heard a lecture on TechScan, whether it's Dr. Montgomery or Dr. Kirstein actually was in the office working on live patients, and I learned something new every single time.
Yep.
And I was using it every day, so it's pretty cool.
That's awesome, man. Like I said, I'm a little bit, shocked or star shocked because, man, I've been following your stuff for quite some time. And the guys that go to your courses and are utilizing the system and learn DTR, man, they're changed people. It's like it just all comes together, and it's really changed them as a clinician. And the results they're getting are just phenomenal. And you bring all this stuff together, combined, and you're utilizing these technologies, and you're able to get these awesome results. And, look, that's what this whole group is about, is a whole bunch of dentists who have truly upped their game. And, having the best of the best on. Dee Dee's been around for a very long time. Dude, you have been in this for a very long time. I'm so glad that there's people that aren't too busy being successful in their private practices, which you and I have talked about, man, I've got to focus on my practice, but you're still taking the time out to go share, the things that you put together and learned so that you can better this profession. And man, that's awesome.
Totally awesome.
I think we owe it to the profession, and we owe it to our patients to be the very best that we can be. And anything less is just a waste of the gift.
You hit the head on the nail.
Amen. You're preaching to the choir right now. Love it.
I know. But, honestly, in our group, in 10X, and, we've had so many young, passionate dentists that are just starting in their careers. And, then I forget, what it was like in those first couple of years, 3 years, 4 years. And it's like, right now there's so much information being spread, come to this course or come to that course and,
Sure.
blah, blah, blah. And it's like a lot of these guys, they're $500,000 in debt. And it's like, they've got to make very, very deliberate, conscious decisions on where am I going to spend my time and my money, because I don't have a lot of extra, dude, back in the day when me and you were going to take CE, it's like, dude, I'm going to this and this and this, and we could just jet. And here's
the list.
Yeah, it's like, I want to learn this, this, and this, and it was all good. But today's world is a little different, and a lot of people are watching Facebook and on these Facebook groups and getting their information from Facebook. And there's some young guys who don't know which direction to go. And
Sure.
For you to be on and go, you know what, man, I've been there. I've done that. I've done the hard work. I've been through the CE. You might want to listen to this guy. Really. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've been out a long time and had a crazy career, and I cannot wait to freaking show up to Houston and hear what Sutter has got to say. I mean,
look, there's one important thing. I think doing the cosmetics is fun. I think doing the all-on-4, whatever, if that's what your thing is and you want to do full implant reconstruction, look, there's great money and it's very rewarding and you change people's lives. But let's not put the cart before the horse. If you drop $70,000 worth of hardware in somebody's mouth and you do not understand occlusion, I can guarantee you're going to be doing it again for free.
Yeah.
Or you're going to be in
a lawsuit.
Or you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Yep.
So beautifully said. So beautifully said. I mean, that's you hit it, and that's it's the basics. It's the bare bones basics.
Foundational to all dentistry.
Right. I mean, dude, you're talking about the foundation, building your concrete base before you start framing your damn house.
Yep.
If you don't have that skill set in your tool shed, you're going to be screwed. And
totally.
What I'm hearing that I didn't know before this whole thing was, I'm always worried. I'm a busy guy. I've been doing this a little bit, and I'm focusing on dentistry. But man, now Dee Dee's sitting here going, dude, you can delegate this stuff. Team members can come into play. This is a part of quality dentistry. Boom! Holy crap! Wow.
Well, it sets you apart. It's impressive to patients, but I want to ask you a couple more questions to Dr. Sutter. Is there a certain case selection that you focus on with DTR? Is it all pain patients? Is it occlusion in general? Like when you're teaching, what do you coach your students?
Sure. So, well, DTR is a very effective splintless TMD therapy for sure, but it's so much more than that. Like if you don't want to treat pain patients, then don't. But for God's sake, please don't create them. Because I can only treat so many.
Awesome.
But the interesting thing about the TScan and being efficient with your occlusion is I have people that do DTR that are not in pain. And and you have these patients in your practice, Gregg, for sure. And
Right.
it's the little old ladies or the little old guys who are the crown of the year club. And you just start talking about function. They're like, yeah, I can only chew on one side of my mouth. Well, okay, well, God didn't give you just one side. He gave you two. How come you don't chew on this side? My teeth don't come together. Let's TScan it. You TScan it, and they're like, well, are you in any pain? Do you have, dizziness or blurred vision or any of these things? No, I don't have any symptoms, but it'd be nice to chew on both sides. One visit, 2 visits, and it's worth every bit of money that I spent. And if I'd known it was going to be like this, I would have paid more. That's what my patients are telling me.
Awesome.
So, if you want to treat pain patients, there's plenty of them to treat, and you don't even have to look for them. Depending on what literature you're reading, somewhere between 15 and 25% of your patients you already have that you're not asking the right questions and you're not looking at occlusion, they're already there.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what I'm hearing, and I'm thinking about my practice as you're talking. I have a gamut of patients, and I'm going through my day, excuse me, treatment planning and stuff like that. But profitability and more comprehensive treatment would be easier if I had a team member incorporating TScan into my practice on a daily basis. Now, I get it. So that makes me so ready to jump and go, dude, I hear you, but I got to come to your course. I got to. Yep. So obviously your next one is in Houston.
When is it?
It's in Houston.
It'd be Houston and be the next one-day course. Although if anybody is in, Wisconsin or Milwaukee or Chicago, I'll be doing a 2 or 3 hour deal at the BioAC in Milwaukee. So, come and check it out then. There's going to be a lot of people. What's that?
That's next month, right?
Yeah. I think
research.
It's the week after the 4th, whatever that Thursday, Friday, Saturday is.
That's cool.
But there's going to be a lot of people that are going to be there that have a whole bunch of different philosophies. They're all using biometrics. You can learn something from every single one of those guys. This will be my 4th or 5th year to be there, and it's a good group to hang out with. I mean, they all want to help, and they all want to elevate the profession.
That's awesome, dude. So specifically, just because I'm in New Orleans area and I'm coming over to Houston, it's a quick drive for me. When's Hoff-Pear's course exactly? Because you're going to have to remind me here.
Yeah. Is Hoff-Power on?
I don't know. It's in August.
It's I think the August 12th and 13th, I think. Hold on one second and I'll tell you what the dates are. Dee Dee, you said you had one more question.
Yes.
And I
don't remember my question right now.
Okay.
That's what happens when you get out the South, Dee Dee.
Right. I'm in New Jersey today, so I'm off schedule.
I hear you, girl.
Yeah, I don't know whether I'm coming or going.
The dates, you can find this out on either, I think there's a posting in Hoff-Power's Facebook group, or the Business of Dentistry, and also in 10X. But I think the dates are August 10th and 11th, which is a Friday, Saturday.
Okay, cool. Hey, somebody else just posted up that's watching us live. They said you're going to be in Nashville in September at ICMO lecturing too.
Huh.
That's true.
Who's outing him, Gregg?
I can't say that, man. I gotta keep that
schedule. It's awesome.
Yeah. I got all kinds of viewers chiming in right now, and it's like boom, boom, boom. I can't get to everybody, but we're all good. So here, I'll show it up because I know he's at this course. if Hoffpower was on, I'd show his course too. But I mean, dude, thank you so much for sharing this stuff with us, man. I mean, it's pretty cool that somebody like you, that's, you know, a brilliant mind and a thought leader, has perfected, you know, this whole occlusion crap. Because, you know, we both grew up in the age of the occlusal wars.
Yeah.
And, you know, I believe in this and I believe in that. And you've kind of just put it all together and made it something that's usable and user friendly. And it's, I mean, occlusion's hard. It is. But at the same time,
that's why you only get one credit for it in dental school, right? Because it's so hard.
Right.
They're like, you're too much of a dumbass to learn this shit. But anyway, you know, my point is, I want to be successful. I want to do great work. You know, I want to be successful with my clinical work. I want to be successful in business. You know, I have that 10X mentality of I'm driven, and it's something that I want to do, not just for myself, but for my patients, to be that person and help as many people as I can. And he's got a system. And man, I can't thank you enough for jumping on here. Dude, I know how busy you are. We just talked about it. You got your practice, you're lecturing everywhere and stuff like that. Man, this is a big part of your day. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know, jumping on here and, you know, getting questioned from me and Dee Dee, you know, and be put on the spot because this is live. This is live, people. He has no clue what we're going to be asking him in any way. This is coming straight from the gut. This is from stuff he has learned from years of experience. And this is a guy who, man, any guy that tells me, dude, I'm going to share my failures with you and I'm going to share my success stories with you, dude, that's who I want to be a part of. That's who I want to learn from.
Because it's real. It's totally real.
Those are the people that I learned from, and I got the most out of their courses. So, you know, I just emulate what meant so much to me. Yeah.
You're emulating greatness.
Well, trying to anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's why we call it practice, right?
That's right. It's the practice of.
Yeah. So anyway, but look, you know, we've been going at it for an hour. And, you know, Ben doesn't have too much more time. I know he's sitting here going, oh, crap, I got all this crap I need to do and stuff like that. And Dee Dee's out, you know, doing her thing and teaching with Amplified Dynamics and doing her thing. And believe it or not, I had a very long day. And
you had a great day today.
Yeah, you know, I do. And, you know, I have several mentors, you know, and one of my mentors is Mr. Bill Williams and the Dr. Bill Williams that teaches $10,000 a day dentistry. And, you know, my goal in life is to surpass everything he does just because I'm that competitive. So, Bill, yes, I did 20,000 today, dude. But anyway, you know, it was a good day. And yes, I had to deal with occlusion twice today on super big cases. But I wish I would have the knowledge of how to utilize a TScan in my practice. I will see you, Ben, absolutely, in Houston, dude. We're going to have a great time, and I hope to learn a lot. Again, thank you for taking your time out. And Dee Dee, always thank you for co-hosting and helping me out. And we will talk to everyone soon. If you need any information about where Ben's going to be, comment in the Facebook Live questions. Dee Dee or myself or even Ben, I'm sure, will chime in about, hey, I'm in Washington or here or there. Where can I hook up and hear what Ben has to say and learn the stuff that he's teaching, you know, so that I can be on top of my game with occlusion. So we will be there for you. You know, if you've seen this Facebook Live, you know, and you want more, you know, we're going to tell you where to get it and where to go and what to do. And if you want a private message, either three of us, you know, Ben is the type of guy that I'm sure you wouldn't mind. Dude, I private messaged you 5 years ago and you automatically immediately responded to, how can I help? You know, and that's the type of guy he is. And so if anybody has any questions, hit us up. Thanks for tuning in. Any more questions, hit us up. But tonight, we're out.
Thank you.
Bye.